Twitter drama spilled into the mainstream this week when Ethan Klein took aim at Joe Rogan. Ethan criticized Joe for his hypocrisy as it relates to COVID in a series of tweets saying, "Joe Rogan, who lives off of elk meat, egg yolk, and HGH with lungs full of tar, thinks he's healthier than everyone. This dude's such a bitch that when he got COVID, he threw the kitchen sink at it." The series of tweets produced a pretty viral negative response, especially from conservative personalities like Andy No, and it got picked up by mainstream outlets and the YouTube commentary circle. Effectively, the reaction from most of these people have been, why is fat Ethan talking about the health of buff Joe? And not one single person missed an opportunity to call Ethan obese, but frustratingly, I think that response kind of entirely misses the point that Ethan was trying to make. Ethan is, I find, clinically underarticulate, and he buried the lead of his tweets in his replies. The real point he's making is in the second tweet. Joe Rogan has caused vaccine hesitancy, spread misinformation, and yet doesn't even stand by the things he's been saying when he himself got COVID. Effectively, he's a hypocrite. And in this sense, I think Ethan is 100% correct. Joe Rogan has expressed vaccine hesitancy. He is no stranger to conspiracy theory. In the last 48 hours alone, he's retweeted stuff about ivermectin, for God's sake. He's had several instances of backlash about comments that have been made on his podcast regarding the vaccine. Literally as of last week even, he had an episode of his podcast removed from YouTube for violating community guidelines. But the most important piece, and I think the one Ethan is speaking to here, is that Joe said that healthy people didn't need the vaccine because they wouldn't be seriously affected by COVID.
If you're like 21 years old and you say to me, should I get vaccinated? I go, no. If you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, and like, I don't think you need to worry about this.
The meat of Ethan's point is that if Joe considers himself healthy, then by his own warped standards, he should be fine. But when he did get sick, he threw the kitchen sink at it. He wouldn't need to resort to unproven conspiracy theoretic remedies like ivermectin if he believed the shit he said. So from here, I think we can say one of two things. Either Joe is just a shock jock, he says shit he himself doesn't believe for the sake of driving viewership towards his podcast, or, if we're feeling less charitable, Joe is just stupid. And so the collective misunderstanding of Ethan by people like Andy and conservative YouTubers isn't that surprising. If we're talking about how fat and obese and unhealthy Ethan is, then we're not talking about how Joe spreads COVID misinformation. And if we know anything about conservatives, especially people like Andy, then we know they love missing a point, especially when it comes to COVID. Some news outlets have framed the story correctly, specifically NBC, but we should be very suspicious of people who have made this about Ethan's weight. They're obfuscating the fact that Ethan is right here and that Joe might be doing real harm with his podcast, which, worth mentioning, is the most popular podcast in the world. I think I read somewhere that he gets roughly 11 million viewers per episode. Joe hasn't responded, and I honestly doubt he will. He's posted on his social media since this all took place, which, if you look through, is a treasure trove of conspiracy theories and right-wing propaganda. And if he was going to respond, I imagine he would have by now. But at the very least, I think that we should be thinking critically about how this dude from Fear Factor has such a huge platform that he's doing real harm with. Anyways, I'm 30. Thanks for listening.